This is just some ways. So if you're getting a drop kicked out of you, you might have somewhere to go. And it isn't just about unionized workers, it's about all workers. This affects everybody in the room, unless somehow you guys can bring your own ticket. And God bless you if you can. But there are so many drastic changes on definitions, to wording, when you do contracts, the word makes a big difference. We got Dave here, he can tell you all the math, and there's no reason for any of this. Bart Kate can tell you about the contract stuff. There is absolutely no reason, nothing driving this bus. I asked them sort of the purpose there. I asked who's driving this? Because I only see it helping multinational companies, interprovincial companies, people who don't pay tax in this province, have no vested interest in it. So if you really want some straight up reading, here it is. 186 pages of Bill 85. I've left some submissions that SAU did, also the SFL, and GSU back here. Just a few, 5. If you need more, please feel free to contact me and help you. I'm sure Larry Hubig from the SFL would be more than happy to share it with you. Other than that, any questions for these wise people?
We'll have a big discussion in a bit here. I guess I'll introduce myself. I see Max is here. Max can introduce me. He's heard me be introduced quite a bit. So my name is Professor McGrain, David McGrain. I'm a professor of political studies here, and apologies to my students who already heard me today. Coming back for more, you can't get enough, right? So anyway, so I just wanted I was asked just to talk really briefly, just to sort of put a bit the bill into perspective, right? I think the cream separator is actually, it's a great fable. And what the cream separator shows you is that when we produce something in society, the fruits of what we produce in society, they're not equally distributed, right? Some people get the cream, some people get the milk. And it is actually very apt for Bill 85, because what Bill 85 I think is all about is about increasing the amount of cream that businesses get and decrease the amount of cream that unions get or working people get, right? I think it's a very simple way to look at it. I think Bill 85, it's very technical, right? And I'm going to talk to you about 1,000 different types. Actually, I attended a whole day conference where they bombarded us with all these different tongues there. All these different clauses, and my head hurt at the end of the day, right? Because it was clause after clause, these really small things, ticketing, how to define an employee, all these types of stuff, very complex stuff. But what I got out of the conference was that at the end of the day, what this does, Bill 85, is it gives businesses a bit more power and workers a bit less power. And I think it's as almost simple as that. And so with that as our starting point, I guess I would just want to talk about 3 quick things today, and then obviously go to questions. And what I want to do is just try to put Bill 85 really in the broader agenda of the Saskatchewan Party government. And so the first thing I want to talk about is the difference between what I call, I guess, Bradwell 1.0 and Bradwell 2.0. So Bradwell 1.0 was this Bradwell in the first mandate that he had as premier. And Bradwell, I think his first mandate, he was a bit nervous, right? He'd never been to the big dance, and he was cautious. He didn't push things all that much. I mean, he got a bit of late legislation out of the way, Bills 5 and 6, which I think made it tougher. Number 1, tougher to have unions certified in the province. Number 2, limited the striking ability of public sector workers through essential services. But after that, he kind of settled down, right? And he didn't really rock the boat all that much. He rocked it some, but not all that much. He was very cautious. I think after the 2011 election, what you've seen is Bradwell 2.0, where he's been a lot more aggressive. I think Bradwell has a right-wing base that now has sort of said that, listen, we let you be cautious and moderate the first mandate, but now it's time really to get what we really want. And indeed, Bradwell interpreted the 64% of the popular vote that he got in the 49 seats that he got by saying that people in Saskatchewan are ready for something bold, ready for something new. So I think Bill 85 is really pushing us even further down the road to an extremely flexible labor environment, which is sort of code word for an environment that's less union friendly and more business friendly. And I think that he's continuing to push. And this, I think, is part of a larger agenda. He does other things. I mean, not huge things, but they're big in some ways, right? I mean, for instance, he started to, he took away this film tax credit. I think that was a pretty enormous thing that was important. Also, I think it was a very small thing, but, he started to give money to independent private schools, right? They used to get subsidized 0%, they're getting subsidized 80%. And so you can see, and, increasing amounts of money towards privatized healthcare. And so you can see all these things come together, right? And you start to think to yourself, Brad Wall 2.0 is something more aggressive than Brad Wall. Brad Wall 2.0 is taking advantage of the situation he has in the legislature to really push Saskatchewan even more to the right than it was before. I think that's a crucial point to understand. Bill 85 is all part of that. Bill 85 is part of a broader agenda to push Saskatchewan to a place where it never was before, or at least it hasn't been since before Tom Douglas, really. And it's before 1944. I think that's the first thing to understand about Bill 85. The second thing that there's now Bill 85, which is interesting too, is what it is. It's governance by staff. And I think Tom referred to this, but just to get it clear. So what they do is they put together all these laws, right? We have 900,000 pages of laws, put them all together in 180 pages. Now, try to figure out what was lost. I mean, it boggles your mind. So you have to go through the one law, and then you got to go through the other law, try to figure out what was lost, right? And then on top of it all, there's a lot of things that are defined in this bill 85. And I don't know if it's going to pass like this, but it probably will. If it does, there's all sorts of things that are going to be decided, what's called regulation. That is after the bill has already went through the legislature. What's going to happen is a bunch of bureaucrats are going to sit down and decide a whole bunch of things. Those things that are really important to people. So and then that's when the rubber hit the road, right? And so I think if Brad Wall, really, wants to decrease the power of workers, he does it very silently and quietly. And it's really governance by self, and I think that's something that's very important to realize. He learned, I think, from Stephen Harper with omnibus bills and all the rest. Even Stephen Harper's last budget was very unclear, what exactly was going to be cut. And budgets are getting more and more confusing. But part of this is that if these governments, like the Wall government, the Harper government, are going to do something controversial, they're going to do it by stealth. And the Bill 85, I think, is part and parcel of this. They're going to try to go quietly under the radar, make sure people don't know about it, right? But nonetheless, it does, at the end of the day, and can end up hurting people. So you can actually hurt people without them even knowing it. All of a sudden, there's changes in the way that shifts are made. There's changes in the ways that definitions of employees, who's in scope, who's out of scope. This affects everybody's lives in various ways. But when you do it very quietly behind the scenes. So I think that's, I guess, the second I wanted to know really quickly. I guess finally, just to end up a bit, the third thing is well, what can we do, right? Yes, I think it is definitely a move to decrease the power of workers, to give more power to unions. I think definitely it's a move to govern by stealth. The question is, what do you do about it? Let's get it straight. They got a 49-person majority in the legislature. The chances of this thing not passing are, I think probably rather slim. It probably is going to pass. But what I think what we or us, people that are opposed to Bill 85 or concerns what Bill 85 can do is really start to talk about alternatives, right? And I think here what we have to do is that I don't think that in this province or in other provinces that Labour and the NDP work well when they're not working together. I think Labour and the NDP are in a close alliance, in fact, to even strengthen that alliance in order to combat things that the Wall government is doing around changing workers' rights and around unions. And so I think in terms of coordination, they have to really be on the same message track. I think the messaging has to be coordinated between the NDP and the Labour movement. And my suggestions around messaging, and I did some studies around this, what messages are effective, what are not effective. And basically what sort of polling that I showed is that when it comes to messages for people in Saskatchewan around things that unions do that make life better for everybody in the province, people are very receptive, right? They're very receptive to that. If you say that unions are going to do things to help out everybody in the province, they're extremely receptive to that. However, if you start to get into language around unions want just more for their members, or this is something that's going to take away, even to the point where you're taking away existing rights from unions, people can kind of turn off sometimes. It's big enforcement if that's the way it is. So I think if NDP and the Labour movement are going to combat the Wall's government agenda around Labour, they really have to concentrate on language and using language as inclusive as possible. And I like the idea around the weekends, take away the weekends, things that are easy to relate to, right? I don't think that if you get too much into things that are very specific union rights, that you're going to really capture the imagination of the Saskatchewan public. So, in terms of what you want to do about it, I think you want to keep your language simple, inclusive, talk about things that affect everybody, how the Disability bill that affects everybody in the province, all the workers in the province. And you can do that within sort of a context of a synergy or an alliance between NDP and the labor movement. That's something that's much more powerful. So as a whole, I think you should look at it and just end on this. Bill 85, is to say the least disconcerting. And I think what's most disconcerting about it is that it is this transfer of power from unions and workers to business. What's even more maybe disconcerting about it is it seems to be happening behind people's backs. I think that's maybe what's unfortunate. Is that there's this transfer of power, quite massive transfer of power, that in some ways I don't think the Saskatchewan public is really going to know about it, right? They won't know about it probably until it starts to really hit them over the head when they start working and the change actually come in. So I think maybe that's the most important part. So I think by all means, what was your plan anyway? Just wanted to but you wanted to add to you wanted to add to
no, I gotta add. It's really about I actually believe people have power. And the government is scared as hell that they'll wake up someday and figure this out. BC is a perfect example. They just got rid of the HSD. Nobody liked it. They lobbied, they got rid of it, they had their vote, away they went. Now they're talking about maybe that's too much democracy. Either you believe in democracy or you don't. This is just rules. You keep changing the rules. Right? They're selling you stuff and you telling you it's ice cream. That make it different. There are people working 10 hours. There are people working 12-hour shifts. It's not that they can't do it. It's not maybe I got to fill out a few pieces of paper to do it. I don't think that that is an unreasonable request of an employer. And, regardless of the unionized or non-unionized, unionized bring the bar up for the unorganized, but the unorganized are under this legislation. Always, as a basic. This is where it starts. Wouldn't matter if I was unionized or non-unionized. This is where it all starts. I think you guys have the power. I really do. If you choose to use it. Because I can tell you, if you start 100, 200 people start phoning their MLA and say, what's this doing for me? They still want to get back in, let's be clear. And if they get that many people engaging them, they know it's a problem. Because it's like rats, you see one, there's 1,000 other ones. Same thing. Who all knows about the increase to the motorcycle licenses? You hear about that? That affected, 100 people in Saskatchewan? This affects everybody.
I'm going to stop.
Okay. She's going to give me that.
Hi, my name is Barbara Cape, and I'm the president of Service Employees International Union. And in my real job, I'm a cook at a long-term care facility. So Dave asked, the question, what can you do? And a lot of times, I'm the president of a union. We have 13,000 members. I mean, sometimes we think, Jesus, what can we do? Government doesn't like to listen to union members. Whatever. We all vote. But Tom makes a very good point. I do own a motorcycle. I've got a really nice 76 RD 400. It is beautiful. And the rate increase on that for me, I think right now I pay $30 in a year because it's a very old motorcycle. But me and about, not 100 people, me and a number of other people got pissed off because the rates for our motorcycle insurance were going to increase exponentially. I know a guy who's got a Harley Davidson, it's a big shiny chromey thing, and he was going to be paying, I think he said $1,300 a month. Well, that's what happens when you buy a Harley Davidson. But all of these people got together. They got together on Facebook, they got together on email, and they emailed their MLA. And they said, this is pissing me off. How can you do this? And the government backed off in the space of 3 weeks because people raised their voices. And I know sometimes that sounds like pie in the sky, because quite frankly, fighting Bill 85, it does sound like pie in the sky for us sometimes. But you can make a difference. You absolutely can. And